Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 29th Board of Works meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to the roll call of members. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Gentry.
Present.
Jane Taylor.
Absent.
Absent. Bill Stoner.
Present.
Dick Robertson.
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Are there any changes, edits to the minutes from anyone? Okay, move on to approval then. Would entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, move on to department head reports. First up is Police Department, Chief Wormuth.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. During the period between 5/14 and today's date of 5/29, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 787 calls for service. A total of 24 persons were arrested for the following crimes. We had 9 wanted on a warrant, 5 drug offenses. If you break those down, there was 1 for dealing meth, 2 for possession of meth, 1 for possession of a controlled substance, and 1 possession of paraphernalia. We had 3 arrests for theft, 2 for trespassing, 2 for drunk driving, 1 for resisting law enforcement, 1 for battery, and 1 for domestic battery. A total of 5 handgun carry licenses were issued by our office. Detective Eric Adams completed the first module of the Indiana Association of Chiefs of Police Executive Leadership Academy, May 14th through the 18th. This is a 3-week leadership and management academy for senior ranked members of Indiana police departments, and I'm still very proud that LPD is the new host for this esteemed course. On May 16th through the 18th, Detective Captain Tony Bales and crime scene investigator Colleen Clark traveled to Dearborn, Michigan to attend a course in medico-legal death investigation. May 18th, department-wide firearms training was conducted. And on May 22nd through the 25th, Assistant Chief Brad Bailey attended the Juvenile Justice Conference in French Lick, Indiana. After a lengthy process, conditional offers of employment have been made to Timothy Edmonds and James Kamaj III, both of Lebanon. Both men are scheduled to take their polygraph examinations next week. If they pass that, they will then be scheduled for their physical and psychological examinations. They will begin with LPD in late summer and start the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in October. And we want to remind the public to come out to the Mill Canyon Classic Go-Kart race this weekend in Memorial Park. We encourage the public to park in Lebanon High School and walk over, as parking in Memorial Park will be very limited. LPD will have extra patrols assigned to the park to ensure everyone's safety. Nothing else to report at this time.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions for Chief from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to report our calls of service are once again down. We had several structure fires in the last couple weeks, but overall calls for service have been consistently lower. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 117 emergency calls of service, logged 132 training hours, performed 27 commercial inspections, installed 1 car seat, and hosted 2 public education events. Firefighter Jared Ordham has completed Investigator 1 class. Jared will now work towards becoming a cleared investigator for the Lebanon Fire Department. That means he can investigate fires on his own without someone assisting him. On May 17th, crews participated with the Lebanon Utilities on bucket truck rescue training. This will begin a series of joint rescue classes with the Lebanon Utilities. On June 11th, 12th, and 13th, crews will be at Scott Barrett in the Industrial Park working on elevated victim rescues. We'll have a simulated victim on top of Scott Barrett with various injuries, and the ladder crews will have to go in, put them in a Stokes basket, assess their injuries, and then remove them from the building on a ladder. So we'd like to thank Scott Barrett for being a great community partner and working with us on this valuable training. We had a total of 103 applications submitted to our hiring pool. The written aptitude test will be June 20th at 6:30 p.m. at the Herman B. Wells Room at the Lebanon High School. That's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the board?
No?
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Parks Department. John?
Tell you, always follow this guy. He's about 9 feet tall. Anyway, Seashore Water Park will open this Monday, June 4th. Hours are 11 to 7 Monday through Thursday, 11 to 6 Friday and Saturday, and 12 to 6 Sunday. The prices are all the same as they were last year. A little out-of-town fee for the people that don't pay taxes here, so that's always nice. Very booked for all the pool parties. We have one available for this year.
Wow.
And I'm sure there's several fighting over it right now. We might open a couple Thursdays up, depending on when the sun sets. If we can do it safely, we're going to open up a few more, which is incredible. But that's before we even open the doors. All of them are booked.
So do we do like a bidding war on those, or how do we?
I'm telling you, we've just told them, hey, there's 3 of them after this one spot, and it's like whoever shows up with the money first. So there you go. They all know they know what's in the game. That's right. We are hosting the Mel Canyon Classic, as Chief Warmus said. That's coming up this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Actually, the race will be Saturday and Sunday, June 2nd and 3rd. The Northeast Street entrance will be blockaded starting Friday evening. That will be due to setting up all the barricades and all the prep work prior to that event. Looking forward to it. There's some entertainment. There's also a merchants game going on. And I believe Joe will probably describe what else they have going on with the entertainment. Real excited to have that event out at the park. On Saturday, June 9th, we will be hosting a co-ed softball, sand volleyball tournament at the Sam Thayer volleyball courts. Registration is, let's see, it's closed now, but it closed May 31st. Anyway, I think we have 8 teams signed up. As far as that will be starting at 9 o'clock in the morning on June 9th. Available now are symphony tables for Symphony at Sunset. That's right around the corner. That event is June 24th. Tables can be reserved at the park office for $20. You have to have them reserved because you can't get them when you get there. So please, if you'd like a picnic table, come in and get it reserved. Available now are symphony, here I'm just rereading. Co-ed softball has started. We kicked off the season on Saturday, May 20th, and we'll run throughout July. Lap swim is still taking place at the high school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings from 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. We're taking a break this week due to graduation and the last days of school here. Start back up June 5th. Kiwanis Annual Fishing Derby, the Tom Sawyer Derby, will be held June 9th at the Hot Pond, finally getting it back to the Hot Pond. It's been 4 years that we haven't had it there, and real excited to have it back there. The Kiwanis does a great job, and there's lots of prizes, big old bass trophies, so get your little ones, get out there. 5 to 15 is the age group, I believe. Mental Health of America, Boone County Movie Night is Friday, June 8th. The movie begins at 9 p.m. and is free to the public. Viewers will be watching Wonder, if anybody's seen that, great show. The Conservation Club, we opened it this last weekend, had quite a few people. The hours are from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We close promptly at 6. We just ask everyone to be respectful, and it is catch and release. There's a list of rules. Anybody under 16 must be accompanied with an adult. It's walk-in traffic only. We've just tried to get that open early. We still have a lot of work to be done. However, it's a nice fishing hole, and you don't even know you're in Lebanon when you're back there. That's all I had. Other than June, we're already ready for the carnival to come in, and the 4th of July festivities begin. That Symphony at Sunset sets it off this month. So everybody get your tickets. It's a great time to see that. Somebody was nice enough to donate quite a bit of money to the band, and all the band members get to go out there for free, which is excellent. It's a great time.
Can you remind me on the date on the Symphony at Sunset?
On the Symphony,
can you say
June
the date again?
24th.
June 24th.
I think table decorating starts around 5:30, And then obviously around, I think it's 7:30 is when the event takes off. And just to hear that orchestra, and then there's fireworks at the end, but nice time. Like Conner Prairie, if you've been there, you get much better show and a lot more closer community right here. So there you
Okay.
go. That's all I had.
Thank you, John. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, next up, Engineering Department, Kevin.
Good evening, board members. Report for this meeting. One second here. Update on East Street. Since the last Board of Works meeting, we've completed the asphalt surface on East Street as well as North Street. That did bring us into the contract requirements for substantial completion. Surface was done on the 23rd, which was the deadline for completion of those substantial completion items. Substantial completion was just defined as a street that is now able for use and in its intended purpose, according to the contract language. So we have issued that certificate, or excuse me, the contractor has issued that certificate of substantial completion, and they now have 90 days to reach final completion, which will take care of the remaining punch list items, take care of landscaping and sod and tree installation. Other work done in the last week was wrapping up the majority of the sidewalks, the lead walks, the private walks, people's steps and stoops and things like that that had to be replaced due to the construction. The last piece of sidewalk is actually in now. Once that cures a little bit, we'll pull the ribbons off of it, but you're able to walk and bike up both sides of the street. And so that's good to see. I think people are really going to enjoy that amenity for the city. We've also, in the last couple of weeks, been working on retaining walls and preparation for the sod that, as I said, is supposed to be coming this week. What you'll see between now and the next meeting would be hopefully the finishing up of all those miscellaneous concrete pieces, those lead walks and steps and stoops and things of that nature. Some walk and curb repairs on North Street, some curb repairs and walk repairs on Busby Street. And as I said, trees and sod are scheduled for some time this week, although I don't have an exact confirmation from the landscape contractor. Of course, all things are weather dependent, and that will pretty much bring that project to a close at this point. Moving on to other projects, the Northern Interchange Feasibility Study, a draft study, has now been delivered to NDOT, and we're currently waiting for their comments. Happy to say we received dozens of public comments, written comments through the process, and happy to report that all those are included in that report as it went off to NDOT. The folks that make those decisions at the state level can see all those comments, see our design consultants' answers and addressing those comments, and we'll look forward to getting NDOT comments back. And as soon as we get that, then we'll be ready to post the draft study for public review. And probably back at a meeting just like this where we can take another final walk through the study before we adopt it. And again, to remind everyone, this study is going to study several interchange locations and options, and to set out some pros and cons for each. And then ultimately, though, it will be the state that will decide if and when and where the final interchange will be located. And we should wrap up that study sometime in June. Jameson Street Bridge removal, that project is complete minus some asphalt patching that we're going to do as our role in that project. And then we're still waiting on a cost sharing agreement from the county to cover some of our storm sewer expenses that we cooperated with them to put into their project. Other projects, obviously the big one on everybody's mind is the downtown project. Work completed since our last meeting. Water main installation started last Friday. Also happy to report that we've been working with Joe LePage and others in the businesses along Main Street to put out some new directional signage. We've got some nice orange signs out there that state that the downtown is open for business. We've also got some directional arrows with logos of all the businesses on Main Street showing you how to get to those businesses. So we're happy to report that those are up and been up for a few days, and we will continue that process as we close the street down on the other sides of the square, trying to do everything we can to make sure people understand that everything is still open for business. Sidewalk and courthouse walls, those have been removed since the last meeting. I'm also happy to give you a brief report on the seismic monitoring. A lot of people may not know, but we are doing seismic monitoring on that job as part of our agreement with the county. Happy to report that with some of the initial demolition operations that we saw no significant vibrations that were generated by that. That's important given the age of the structures in that area. The consultants that are reviewing those seismic monitoring stations have said that they have reported no significant vibrations that would warrant any concern for building damage. But with that, I will also say we want to keep an eye out for all those things. We've done a lot of pre-construction inspections of all the buildings, and we've got a good record of those things. White Construction has been looking at that, and I would also recommend to any owners in the downtown that they also take a close look at their building, make sure they're just watching out for anything, and notify us if they have any concerns. The work expected prior to the next meeting will continue we should wrap up all the water main and service lateral installations. Material procurement, it's a tough word and it's always ongoing throughout this phase of the project. Storm sewer installation will also start, as well as subgrade preparation, and the courthouse limestone foundation walls will also begin going in before I next address this board. This is all on a path to get us to the pavers showing up a little after the 4th of July, and us being ready to install those pavers after the 4th of July and opening that road back up by the end of July. Again, I remind everyone to look for weekly updates from the contractor. If you're not on their weekly email list, I recommend everyone get on that. You can send me an email. You can send that email at kkrulik@lebanon.in.gov, or you can contact the planning and engineering office or the mayor's office. There's plenty of options to get in touch with someone and get your name on that email list. There's also other updates that are being put out there on Facebook through the engineering department webpage, the Heart of Lebanon Facebook page, and we do have the new embracetheorange.net, which I believe is last checked. It's still under construction, but there is some information on there right now and more to come. I also would just encourage everyone to support their downtown businesses, make the extra trip, walk through the dust to make sure you're patronizing these businesses that are still operating on the square. So it's important, something we can all do to help our community. Moving on, other things, pavement assessment ratings, that work, the field work is obviously complete. I've mentioned that in prior reports. We're anticipating that report to come in sometime in the next 2 weeks, and excited to get back to work on planning out all of our paving projects for the year and looking out long term, the next 5 years, what those paving operations will look like. Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2 right-of-way acquisitions still nearing completion, still on track for our August deadline, after which we'll roll into utility relocations, particularly water main, and be ready to go into the bidding schedule for NDOT, which would be in January, and looking at a spring of 2019 for construction. Grant Street, that's the next project sort of on the boards. Looking out to 2022 is where we've got our federal funding grant for that project. That is a $3.7 million total project, and of that, the federal grant covers about $2.1 million of that. So that's a good win for the city, and we'll hope to move that project forward sometime in the 2020 to 2022 timeframe. NDOT has issued their RFP, their request for proposals, for the selection of a design consultant for that. We're running that through the formal NDOT process, so that is published by them. That will be an RFP that is for preliminary engineering, right-of-way engineering and acquisitions, as well as all the civil engineering on the project. If there's any consultants listening, those letters of interest are due to NDOT by June 19th at 3 p.m. I will report this is a QBS process, which stands for Qualifications-Based Selection. So this is entirely a qualifications-based selection where we would choose our design consultants that we will be working with. Once that consultant is chosen based on those qualifications, then there would be a negotiation period between the consultant and the city to work out contracts. If for some reason we couldn't come to terms, we would go back into that QBS process for the next design consultant on the list. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, next up is Planning Department. Ben?
Evening, board members. My report will be particularly brief tonight because I've been gone for the last week, so I don't have any updates on special projects, and McCade is gone this week, so I don't have code enforcement statistics either. So we'll just get this done here quick. Planning operations over the last couple of weeks, we've been particularly busy. 52 building inspections were completed, so that's a little over 5 a day. So we're definitely keeping Gary very busy on the inspection side. Permitting side, we issued 30 additional permits over the last couple of weeks, so again, staying very busy with new projects there. In terms of special projects, we did open 3 bids at the last redevelopment commission meeting for operators for our entrepreneurial space at the former Estes site. So we're in the process of reviewing those 3 bids to determine different qualifications in there and different particulars. We're going to provide a report back to the RDC on those 3 bids in order for them to make a recommendation on selection at their next meeting in June. So we are working through those, and we should have a lot more information for the redevelopment commission in the next week or 2 for them to review. So that is all I have for tonight.
Any updates on the comp plan?
In the last couple weeks, no. We're working through identifying focus groups to invite those people to come in and talk about particular subject matter. We're actually ideally meeting with, I think actually Friday morning, with the consultant to identify those folks, get them invited, get that going. So we've been working with the steering committee to try to get recommendations on who those people should be, and now we need to fill in the gaps. So that process is moving.
Great. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, Ben. All right, next up, Street Department. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Since the last council meeting, the street department has been very busy with the street sweeper. We are in the process of training another person on that sweeper so we can keep getting it out. We've been working in the evening hours and then also during the day, street department hours. Also, we're continuing to clean and mow city easements. Today, the old Holiday Inn lot out there was trimmed and mowed. We got that cleaned up and ready to go. We are also continuing to mow Perryworth Road easement along with Indianapolis Avenue and Shepherdsville Road. Trying to get that cleaned up. Street Department continues to do some patchwork and fill in some holes in alleys. I'm very fortunate those have been really managed really well, and we're not having to go back out as much, so we're really excited when we get the Pazer system ready and start paving roads. Also, the new street signs have been installed in Parkway subdivision out here by the high school, and now we are currently in process of calling line locations in for the Northeast Street project. Once those are in, they should be done and completed by Thursday, the line locations, and possibly the signs put up Friday and Monday of the following week. Also, last Thursday, we were helping the Parks Department. We moved quite a bit of dirt there off the off-site parking there on Maple Drive for the soccer fields, and we hauled quite a bit of stone out there. So that's all done. So.
Thank you, Larry. Any questions from the board?
I got one. I just remembered what it was.
That you called me about.
Yes, the alley between Busby and Fordyce Street off of Meridian, headed west. There's a big chuck hole in that alley, about the size of a 55-gallon drum.
Okay. Did you get out the measurements so I can figure out how much mix I need?
Yes, I did. I stepped it off. I'll let you
That's
know.
all right.
Larry was going to ask, are we still planning on repaving that whole alley between Meridian and East Street?
Yep.
So do we have a time frame for that yet?
When they get completed and done, yeah, we can, there's a couple other side alleys going north or east and west also that we're.
Because I also know the one, just the northernmost east-west alley.
Yes.
On, between Meridian and East Street too is, and there were some, I think, gas work they did in that area that still has the holes there. That would probably be good to fill those
Yes,
too.
and there
if we
was a
could.
couple manholes that we busted around last fall before
Yeah.
time ran out. Yes, those are in the schedule to get paved.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I know there's a couple holes there on Meridian, on that alley there. So a couple houses north of me. My neighbor reminds me about it every single time she sees me, so I'd appreciate that.
We'll check it out, sir.
Thanks, Larry. Any other questions for Larry? Comments? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Go, thank you.
All right, next up, Communications, Community Development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to reiterate kind of what Kevin said about downtown construction. It is going on, and he mentioned a couple of the resources that are going on and out for the public to be able to stay abreast of what's going on in the construction phases downtown right now on Main Street. We do a Downtown Daily on the Heart of Lebanon's Facebook page. We take a picture, give a brief synopsis about what's going on that particular construction day. So as Kevin was mentioning about the water main work that's going on, there are pictures there that are almost real time where you can see what the workers are doing. A lot of machines downtown today. Also highlighting the huge chunks of wood that were uncovered and the speculation as to where that, bigger than railroad ties, and where they came from. The jury's still out on where that wood came from, but you can check out the Heart of Lebanon's Facebook page to be able to stay up to date with all those things. Additionally, kind of helping out, the biggest concern that we heard with downtown merchants were, of course, the parking spaces. As part of the RDC's aid for the construction phase of things, the Heart of Lebanon has secured 20 parking spaces in and around the downtown area. And thanks to the street department helping to kind of mount those signs on different poles that can be put in 3 different lots around the square. And we're working on ways to kind of highlight the journey for those folks that are walking less than a block, usually even less than that, but being able to kind of have some fun as they're parking and walking to their destination, because we know that parking spaces were certainly at a premium prior to construction, and now with the construction of Main Street, even more paramount to have some help that way. So that's kind of the next step with help during construction is the addition of parking spaces. So right now there will be 20, and there will be the potential for more as needed. Also, as John touched on, the Mel Kenyon Classic is happening this weekend. This is the 4th annual for here in Lebanon, June 2nd and 3rd. Live racing, live music, food trucks, family fun. Most of it is free. With the food trucks, obviously you're going to get some charges there, but the live racing is free to attend. The live music with the band, That's What She Said. If you're familiar with the Flying Toasters or Station to Station, which performed at last year's Oktoberfest, very similar styles, both male and female live main singers, lead singers, a lot of fun. The live racing, something that's different this year with Sierra Southern Indiana Racing Association. In years prior, they had on Saturday, it was the heat races. So you would race to see who would be starting first, second, third, and so on. Now they're doing live feature races both days. And so the heat races will be very short. They'll slot their field of racers all the way from the kid karts up to the more experienced drivers. And then they're going to race them in live feature race formats. And so racers are going to be, really working for the checkered flag as opposed to Saturdays where it was basically a practice, and it'd be two Indy 500 days more or less for our races here. So expecting a large crowd, far more racers this time around with speeds in the neighborhood of 100 miles an hour or more on the back straightaway. They're actually telling some of the inexperienced drivers, you're not allowed to race on this track because it is so fast. And so this is for experienced racers only at this year's Mel Kenyon Classic. The Stunt Jump is back this year. We're adding a mega trike track, and so it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a big track that you can get on a big tricycle and race a couple of your friends or enemies and go around the track and race for fun and just have some enjoyment that way. The racing will take place from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. That's what she said, is at 5:30 on Saturday evening. And then the racing will continue at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Tyson was talking about, Chief Warmoth was talking about parking taking place at the high school. Actually, just new today, we're adding shuttle service from the high school to the track. And so if you're having to park, that's a great problem to have. But we're going to get you a shuttle service to get you to the start-finish line. It's something that we attempted last year. With downtown, the alleys were too difficult to traverse. And so we're going to have folks be able to be at the school and then bring them to the start-finish line, which will be the main center of attraction for this year's race. So again, that's happening this weekend. Wrapping up, Lebanon City Market's really beginning to hit its stride. In the next couple of weeks, we'll really have quite a few of the fruits and vegetables. Up until now, it's been a lot of the starts for fruits and veggies and a lot of craft goods and baked goods as well, and it's been very well attended. We really hit the kind of the sweet spot of where the market should take place, and the organizers feel it's under the big red roof, is what we call it, at the Lebanon Downtown Co-working Development property. It's kind of that large awning. The vendors love it because they don't have to set up the big awnings and weigh each leg down. And we had rain a couple weekends or a couple Fridays ago. Shoppers love it because they can just lose the umbrella because the awning is 134 feet long and 35 feet wide. And so they can just ditch the umbrella, do their shopping, grab the umbrella, go back to their car, and be able to kind of get out of Mother Nature there. It's out of the sun. It's an optimal environment for our vendors. And so that's from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. on Fridays, again, every Friday through October. A lot of events going on. Boone County and Lebanon certainly do July 4th well, so well in fact that it begins in June. And so a lot of events going on, updating the website with all those events. Lebanon.in.gov is a place to go to see all those events coming up. And if you have any event that has been failed to be mentioned so far, whether it's on social media or other, you can send an email to info@lebanon.in.gov. We'll do our best to get that event added to our calendar of events. We want to make our website a one-stop shop, and we feel like we're well on our way to doing that.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any questions from the board for Joe?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, next up, or last up, Dave Newell, Stormwater Department.
Hello. Let's see. We had about 4 calls since our last meeting. Responded to all those. Did get on our new vac machine, so we've been putting that to good use. Cleaned quite a few drains already. More in store. We had a repair today, and I think we've repaired one other one. So we're just business as usual for us.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Any questions for Dave? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes department head reports. We'll move on to old business. Is there any old business come before the board? Okay, now move on to new business now. And the only item I have up here is a request for street closure for the Lebanon Public Library. Bo, if you want to join us.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Bo Cunningham. I'm the director of the Lebanon Public Library. On June 4th, on Monday, we'd like to kick off our summer reading club with a street fair. We'd like to ask that the street in front of the library be closed between East and Meridian Street right there on Washington. Last year was the first time we had this event. We had over 600 attendees at it. This year we're hoping it's even bigger. We have lined up the big attractions are the inflatables. We have an obstacle course, a slide, and a bounce house for the kids. We're also going to have face painters, balloon artists, and a walking magician. He'll be walking around doing tricks for the kids. This year we've done something a little different. We've invited some of the local vendors to sell some food. People's, St. Adrian's, and Periwinkle's have already confirmed that they can do that. We have talked to the reporter and Periwinkle's who are on that block with us, and they're very much in favor of it. So we would just like to ask that we could close the street from 11 to 5:30. The event runs from 1 to 4. That would give us some grace time to set up the inflatables and get them taken down after the event.
Okay. So obviously the challenge we have with this is that Washington Street is kind of one of the main detour routes around the construction on Main Street. However, you would not be doing the intersection though, correct? It would just
the
be
intersections would remain clear.
Okay.
I think it's all right.
Kevin or Chief, any questions or concerns from your end?
On that?
I know it's not ideal, but if it's one day.
Yeah, it's not ideal. As you mentioned, that is the detour route for the Main Street construction. That could be a little hard to accommodate traffic in and around that area because not really having another good east-west route away from the square. But
Bo, how tired are you to be on Washington Street in front? I mean, is there any, if we thought about doing East Street, or I mean, you want it to be in front of the library?
What it is we have good space right there. It's right across from Prairie Winkles. We have all the electrical we need.
Okay.
And you'd be looking at East Street on the side in front of the parking.
I'm just trying to I want to hear why you're picking Washington Street, and I think you're saying it. So
our parking lot on East Street right there, that'd be very difficult because that's where we're hoping people can get into to get to the event.
It is during the day, so it's not like it's all day or in the morning. I mean,
It is on a Monday.
It is on a Monday, yep.
A
Dick?
half a day. I'm not opposed, really. I mean, the libraries put up with us closing their east parking lot, you know, and not getting much use there.
Yep.
You know, and I know it's going to be hard for traffic, but, you know, it's only half a day, and I think I'm okay with it.
It's one block.
Yeah, I'm okay for the one block. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Bo?
No.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to approve the street closure request on June 4th on Washington Street in between Meridian and East from 11 to 5.
I'll make a motion, we approve the street closure of Washington Street there between Meridian and East.
Okay, from 11 to 5?
From 11 to 5.
Okay.
5:30?
5:30.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
Oh, sorry. I wrote on 5:30, apologize. Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, street closure request is approved.
Thank you. We'll get it cleaned up as quick as we can with those.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Okay, is there any other new business come before the board? Okay, with that, we'll move on to claims and we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to approve the claim. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. And would, any announcements? Okay, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
With Alan on that one. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The city council meeting will begin at 7:15.
Hey, Joe?